So, Dr. Bill, my illustrious mentor and co-host and founder of Newsletter Censored. It's Saturday, May the 19th.
Correct.
2012, and next week is the infamous unofficial beginning of summer known as Memorial Day weekend. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm trying to say, yes.
Memorial Day weekend, when all of the rip-off beaches on the Jersey Shore open up with their very high cover charges so people can actually step on sand, when meanwhile the beaches should not be privately owned. They should be owned by
the commons, baby, the commons.
The commons. Us, the people.
Oh, that's socialism. That's
socialism?
Communism.
Why, to expect the shores of America?
Give everything to the private sector.
Yeah, I'm saying
so they can screw you royally.
Of course they can screw you royally.
Ooh.
I mean, the shores are part of America. They shouldn't be privately owned. You shouldn't have to pay a high cover charge to get on them. You should not have to pay to change into your bathing suit and being threatened to have a high fine slapped on you if you're caught changing into your bathing suit in the public restroom. Ooh. You shouldn't have to pay to park. But you know, I understand. I mean, personally, I would not fight traffic and carbon monoxide and spend an hour and a half just to drive to a subpar beach where I have to pay over $5 for one hot dog, and God knows, you know, how much for other things on the boardwalk, another ripoff of the Jersey Shore, and then pay a high cover charge, and you can't bring food and beverage now on the beach, and they make up some dumb excuse about litter bugs. Meanwhile, I know what the deal is. They want you
to buy, yeah, of course.
They want you to walk from where your lawn chair is and beach blanket. They want you to walk all the way to the boardwalk and spend high amounts of your hard-earned or found money on their ridiculously superhighway robbery prices that they charge every year, year after year, at the Jersey Shore. One of the biggest rip-offs going in America. One of the evils, along with Wall Street, those people over there, one of the evils of capitalism, along with the infamous tourist traps, which are all over America. Well, I guess you would call the Jersey Shore boardwalk a tourist trap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, and I call it all what it is. It's not capitalism. It's the devil's economics.
Yeah.
The devil's economics.
When a business is deregulated to the point where they can lie to the consumer and rip off the consumer and mislead the consumer, it's no longer regular Yankee Doodle Dandy, run-of-the-mill capitalism. It becomes worse. Usury, like the banks, with the fees that they used to slap on us, and sometimes still do, interest rates, so on and so forth,
That's because there are no usury laws. They did away with that a long time ago. You see, the other evil is that when the politicians, just like what you said, who do you think made it possible that you were forced to not take your food to the beach, but to go to the boardwalk and pay the exorbitant prices for the hot dog? Who do you think made that possible?
Politicians?
The politicians. Correct.
The politicians decided on that.
The marriage of the corporation and the state is fascism, my friend.
Mussolini said it.
Simple.
Yeah, it's insane, and you can find these tourist traps all over America, and of course, if you go on vacation in Latin America, you find them there.
That's because...
those Frito Banditos.
That's because we Americans are teaching all of these countries the Milton Friedman free enterprise globalization crap.
An excuse.
That's why.
an excuse to rob people, permission to rob people, license to steal.
Well, that's all the consumer is. He's a customer.
And then when you work,
he should be robbed. Remember the old days with the
carnivals,
carnival barker, you know,
the carnival barker,
yeah.
Not Bob Barker.
And what were we called?
Snake oil salesman.
What were we called?
Marks.
Marks, exactly.
And that
That's what we are.
Professional wrestling.
For Walmart.
Professional wrestling uses that term for the people who support them to buy the tickets to see the show. They call us marks. Meanwhile, if it wasn't for the marks buying the tickets, these wrestlers would not be able to make a living. So, you know, they've
turned that upside down. The wealth is created by the worker, but you see Wall Street and the capitalists and the elites have turned that upside down.
Right. Now,
they've made themselves the job creators.
But do you see the connection here? The pro wrestling industry degrades and disrespects the customer by calling them marks, but then again, industry in America in general, private enterprise corporations, they disrespect their customers also by misleading them, by overcharging them. And then if you work for these companies and corporations, they want to pay you diddly-dick in wages compared to the cost of living in America today. They don't want to pay you anything. So they want, like Walmart, you know, you see a Walmart commercial, oh, they care so much about the consumer. Oh, sure. Meanwhile, you privately interview employees, not the employees on the commercial that are smiling and saying, oh, I owe my life to Walmart. I'm talking about the real story, and you hear a totally different story. So this whole attitude towards secretly having contempt for their customers, disdain or employees, you know, disrespecting them, but then when there's a commercial, they pour their heart out.
It's all kumbaya.
Right. So it's misleading. So would you say that lying, blatant lying, is a big part of American capitalism?
Absolutely.
And dishonesty.
And not giving out the proper information, just like on Wall Street.
Right.
With stocks and stuff. The poor sucker, he doesn't have all the information he needs to have to invest.
No.
What do you think the derivatives problems were and all this other crap that caused the meltdown? Nobody knew what the hell was going on. And then when everything blew up, all of that crap is worthless.
Exactly.
Derivatives and everything. Worthless.
It's worthless. Well, anyway, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Welcome to Progressive Discussions. Yes, this is Progressive Discussions. And I am your host, James P. Madonna of Mega Life 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet. And I am here with my co-host and mentor and founder of Newsletter Censored in 1977, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. How are you, sir? How are you feeling?
Fine.
Good, very good.
Fine.
And this is me prop. It's a Blackthorn imported weapons grade shillelagh from Ireland with 2 metallic 4-leaf clovers for additional luck. I'm not Irish, but I love using it as a prop. It helps me emphasize certain things. And I want to welcome you to the little Jolly Roger over here, Billy Bones here. You see it, the pirate flag? I hope you can. And I don't know if you can see it, if it's behind my head or not, but right here, all right, the Jolly Roger represents...
The good ship, Jolly Roger.
Represents the Occupy movement, okay, the little guy up against the fat cats, the Robin Hood theory, and it's waving a little bit. Well, we have the door closed because it's kind of hot outside. Well, it's warm. But anyway, let me get on with the show. I only have one thing to bring up, and then we will get right into the articles. Oh boy, there's always something that raises my blood pressure. Big charities. I just want you to know. This was in the news. It wasn't in the mainstream news, but it was in the news. Big charities. You know, Dr. Bill, you've heard of some of the major charitable organizations that have been around for decades. Mm-hmm. Big charities like the American Red Cross, the United Way, and UNICEF. Well, it turns out they pay their CEOs a fortune. Mm-hmm. Hundreds of thousands of dollars to well over $1 million a year, like I believe it was the American Red Cross. Thousands of dollars per year go to the CEOs. How come that doesn't surprise me? The paper pushers. And it turns out that on average, only 5 cents on a dollar actually goes towards the charitable cause.
There you go.
Doesn't that sound very familiar to business as usual with corporate America? Doesn't that sound familiar?
Give the money right to the person. That's my...
now,
that's what I say.
Before you fork over a large sums of money to these major charitable organizations, think twice. Think twice, and maybe if you target your charity to the source, you might be a lot better off. That's all I have to say. It's a shame. It's despicable. I mean, a CEO is obviously overpaid and overrated. I can't overemphasize the word overrated. And does not deserve salaries like this, especially a charitable organization. It's supposed to be charity. People are supposed to volunteer their services out of the goodness of their heart. It's like with the Jerry Lewis telethon. A lot of those celebrities want to get paid, right, Bill?
Yeah, that's what happened, yeah.
They want to get paid. And they should be doing it because it is
of their heart.
It is a fundraiser out of the kindness and compassion of their hearts. They should be volunteering their performances. But what it is they it's just another gig for them. Because they're so insecure and egomaniacal and selfish and greedy. Me, I, you know? So, anyway, what do you think of me haircut? I actually got them all cut. Not just the hair, but I look a lot different. I feel
More than one.
Huh?
More than one hair was cut.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I lost 10 pounds off of my head. But my hair grows so fast. Like this old German barber I had when I was a kid named Teddy. He used to say, James, your hair grows like weeds. Like weeds.
Maybe you should have put on Preen or Roundup.
Roundup Ready by Monsanto?
Roundup Ready, yeah.
What, to kill off
the weeds.
My follicles, my hair? Monsanto, that's another talk show. Anyway, begin.
Speaking of CEOs, the loss of $2 billion announced by J.P. Morgan Chase doesn't have the shock value of the events of the fall in 2008. I don't believe many of us knew just how reckless and profit-driven the banks had become at the time. Oh yes, we knew about outrageous fees customers were saddled with, but few knew the enormous risks the banks were taking, albeit with our money. We didn't know that we, the United States taxpayers, were their safety net. Now we do. I was dumbfounded when I read what J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon said. Quote, "It plays into the hands of a bunch of pundits, but you have to deal with that, and that's life." No. When your mechanic tells you it will cost $2,500 for a new transmission, that's life. When a bank loses $2 billion, it's something else. At the core of this problem are the new banking rules that are still being formulated. Had the original version of these rules, the Volcker Rule, been in place, this loss of $2 billion would have been averted. Despite this reality, the banks resist new regulations as strenuously as possible. It would appear that the banking industry desperately wants freedom to lose enormous amounts of money. I don't believe many people would object to them losing money, except, as we all now know, if things get too out of hand, the American taxpayer will be the one to absorb their losses. Even deeper at the core of this problem is the way the banks exert their influence. Through the machinations of lobbying, it is only the special interests that have the ear and exert the influence on government. Until this system is either done away with or drastically reformed, the voices of ordinary citizens will go largely unheard. And that's true because nothing, no laws, no regulations, no orders have been put in place to stop them from what they did the last time.
Absolutely.
It could happen again.
Yep, absolutely. And it just goes on and on and on. It's Americans are definitely misled. They're lemmings. The American voter is deceived, like it says in the book of Revelation. Was it 12:9?
12:9. The whole world is deceived.
The whole world is deceived. Or Americans are the biggest fools, because you have middle-class people that carry the tax burden, that instead of doing their research and learning how politics in America actually works.
No, they would rather protect the rich so that the rich don't have to pay their fair share of taxes.
But
the middle class lemmings, idiots, goes, okay, we'll handle that burden. Yeah, don't worry about it, you rich guys.
But they continue to believe the Republican lies, and I'm talking about people that are like close to, you know, if they got laid off from their jobs, they could very easily get their home foreclosed, and end up on social services, welfare.
They have this thing about, oh, that won't happen to me, and if it happens to me, don't worry, I'll get another job. Oh,
get another job.
A lot of those people are out of jobs
because they're still out of jobs because they believe the Republican lies that there are jobs out there. Do you know what I heard?
They believe that anybody without a job is lazy, is out of job because he doesn't want a job. That's what they believe.
You know what I heard Gary Null say at the end of this past week? He said that there are people with PhDs.
Yes, 350,000.
Even a college professor that has to take a job, I don't know, bagging groceries. Bagging groceries. And not just an average professor, a well-respected,
several degrees, former
professor. So if people with PhDs are having trouble landing a job, you know that people with adequate, nice resumes can't find a job. I mean, and what's the shit that I see in email about, you know, all these employment agencies, even the state of New Jersey workforce program that works with government funding, they're sending people information about how to properly prepare for an interview, how to respond to employer questions, how to design your resume to maximize your chances of landing that job, and of your dreams, that career that you always wanted. Be successful in
nothing else.
Huh?
They got nothing else because the jobs ain't there.
What, you know, be successful in the whole interviewing process.
What do you see?
What's successful? The jobs are not out there.
What do you see when there's a lot of unemployment on television and radio? You get all these commercials for schools.
Technical schools.
Get
the career.
Whatever.
Now they got
So Variety University, get your bachelor's degree.
Lincoln Tech. Now you got this chick singing rock singing a rock song for a technical school late at night, and she's singing that, oh, I was so miserable with this dead-end job, and they show her selling hot dogs or corn dogs at a stand with an umbrella. Oh, I want to make something of my life. I want to be a success. I want to earn a high income. And she's singing and everything. And then all of a sudden they show her going to the tech school, and walking out with the graduation hat with the tassel and the rolled up diploma in her hand. And now she's all happy and she's singing and dancing that, oh, now I'm making good money.
She still don't have a job.
She's an actress. She's a commercial.
She's graduated. Where's her job? Did they show her in a work situation?
No,
they do not.
She's a commercial model that can sing, that has a nice voice, and she did the commercial probably through an agency for the technical school.
Yeah, but just the graduation does not guarantee you a job, because the job's not there. Back to your point about the 350,000 well-credentialed people that are living in the woods and in tents and unemployed and etc.
Well-credentialed, including armed forces people that put their lives on the line.
Yes.
Veterans. All right.
The reason is...
That were underpaid, by the way, when they went to war.
One of the reasons is...
But not Dick Cheney. Him and Bush, GW, were not underpaid.
Dick Cheney had more important things to do. Making money. Than going to war.
Yeah, but you see, the people that expend the blood, sweat, and tears and put their lives on the line, they're not well paid.
That's correct.
But they give them that patriotic
They never have been throughout history.
But they give them
the serfs.
They give them the patriotic mumbo jumbo.
Of course. How are you going to keep them doing that crap? Hey, you can't raise their consciousness, baby. If you raise their consciousness, hey, there goes your army.
And remember the recruiting commercials?
Remember the Alamo.
See the world. Adventure. See the world. Get your education and your medical care paid for by the government.
Yeah, $40,000 for your college or something.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, back to this.
Back to what you were going to say.
350,000 well-credentialed people. One of the reasons that they are out on the street is your H-1, what is it, H-1B visas?
The workers' visa.
They're bringing in people, PhDs from other countries.
Like India.
And taking these people's jobs and for half the moolah.
Old-fashioned American business, corporate America. So instead of outsourcing American jobs, it's like
some of them they're insourcing.
They insource people from other countries with training and education, pay them cheap.
And why?
And they're more than happy to come to the United States and get a job over here and make American money. So they come. And why? Because of greed, right?
Why? Because the lobbyists have paid the politicians and they get to do it. That's why. You see, all of this stuff...
Because they can, right?
Exactly. All of this stuff people don't understand. It doesn't have to be that way. You can change it.
The game that you just mentioned, this whole evil, sinister game, all comes from the fact that the corporations wave moolah in front of the noses of the politicians that are supposed to be public servants of us, we the people. They wave the moolah in front of them, and like Ted DiBiase used to say on the
$1 Million Man.
$1 Million Man from the WWF Pro Wrestling, he used to say everybody has a price for the $1 Million Man.
Yep.
And sooner or later, the $1 Million Man will get you.
Yep.
Everybody has his price.
Yep.
Or her price. So what they do is they wave, they entice, kind of like Satan tried to entice Jesus. The whole world will be yours.
All the nations of the world will be yours if you just bow down to me.
So you see that repeating itself?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, like I say though, but the important thing is to remember is that it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
You can change it. The rules can be changed. The Monopoly game can be changed.
And be fair.
Instead of giving all of the moolah to the one guy in the game, split it up and give everybody else a chance.
Right. But
It's like a Monopoly game. I don't know how much money you give to each person at the beginning of the game.
Well, everybody gets equal amount.
Yeah, but they get an equal amount. But
the
in our system, we don't do that. We give the fat boys the biggest amount and say, hey, go play with that and take more from us. Here's more.
Well, you know what determines who gets ahead in Monopoly? The roll of the dice.
Yeah, well, that is it. What determines it is how much you got stake. That's what determines it.
Yeah.
You know, if I get $500 and I land on Boardwalk, I still can't buy it. If I got $1,500, I can buy Boardwalk.
My brother Scott used to get so pissed off as a kid. I would end up at all the hotels, and he would have to pay me rent. He would always land on my hotel, and he was broke because he had to keep on paying me rent. So he got so pissed off, he turned the game upside down. But I felt bad because it's really not a nice game.
Well, yeah, but it does in certain ways.
Teach you,
yes. That you don't have a chance. The upward mobility thing, it brings it to the fore. You know, you got to have something to make something.
You have to have breaks in life.
I mean, that's what capitalism is. Supposedly.
You got to have breaks in life.
Supposedly, capitalism is, you know, let's say you're an innovator, you invent something, and you go to a bank, and you want money to invest and build a company.
Right.
Well, capitalism, they are supposed to give you that loan. But the point is, the difference between capitalism and God's economics is that you don't have to go to the bank for the loan. Got your own land, your own way to make a living, your own way to get the moolah. Big difference.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And every 50 years, the Jubilee, you get your land back if you sold it. I think it's every 7 years or something, all debts are finito.
Well, God's economics is not about competition. It's not about greed. It's about fairness and love.
It's about
and
being able to be content with contentment.
That's true. Content with contentment. Not about constantly striving for a better, bigger and better home, a better car, better clothes, you know. Content with contentment. You know, like my sister said, she worked for a company where she made some friends. There were Latin American friends that happened to live in a poor neighborhood. Not a bad neighborhood, but, you know, lower middle class to poor. But they had their whole family there, and when they invited her over for dinner, you know, everybody seemed happy. The family was close. There was love there, you know, and even though they didn't have a lot of money, you know, they had each other, and everybody just seemed happy. You know, they made the best of what they had.
Yeah.
And she says they just seem happy. You know, so, you know, it's not all about
Oh, you just see what happened to
monetary gain, huh?
The Mary Kennedy, the other day, she hung herself. Well, they had money.
Well, that Kennedy family always had a curse.
Whatever.
I heard the old man wasn't a very nice character.
Oh, no.
Back in the day.
No.
The original, what was his name, Joe?
Joe, I think, Joe.
No, he wasn't. He talk about ill-gotten gains, right?
Well, look at all of them. What? Standard Oil. Yeah, you know, he who makes haste to be rich shall not be innocent.
From Proverbs?
Don't ask me where
it's from the Bible.
From the Bible.
You know what? I got it right here on Newsletter Censored.
What? Oh, is that one of them on the top there?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. Here we go. He that makes haste to be rich shall not be innocent. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 20. Okay, as the nail sticks to the stone, so sin sticks to buying and selling. Ecclesiastes chapter 27 verse 2. So God wasn't too crazy about capitalism. He that oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he that gives to the rich shall surely come to want. Proverbs chapter 22.
Yeah.
Verse,
what is it?
Hold on, let me finish. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 16, because I want people to look it up and not think that me and you just say things off the top of our head. All right, go ahead.
They won't look it up.
No, they won't. They'll listen to some right-wing fundamentalist pastor. They'll listen to freaking Joel Osteen or one of those phony balonies. Like my mother's showing me this book that sounds like Joel Osteen. Whoa, God wants you to be rich. God wants you to be rich. The secrets, the mysteries of the Bible, where from the ancient Israelites knew the secret to gaining money, and she wants to send away for this book. The mysteries of the Bible, where the ancient Israelites show you in the Bible how to attain wealth. I says, Ma, God's not interested. You sound like Joel Osteen.
Correct.
God, gambling and attaining wealth and competition with each other and greed, and that's not his thing. And she, lemmings, fools.
God's thing is to put him first in your life.
Not money.
Not money.
Oh, the Republicans put money first.
Of course. Well,
they're not real Christians.
Their God is money, and their church is the bank.
I want to salute somebody very important right now in the Christian movement in Christianity. Mr. David C. Pack of the, what is it, the Reformed Church? The Restored Church of God. And he's from California?
Ohio.
He's from Ohio.
Wadsworth.
Wadsworth? The Reformed Church of God.
Restored.
The Restored, I'm sorry. Restored. David C. Pack of the Restored Church of God. I salute you for being right on the money. The only person I know of today, except for
there are others.
Reverend Dr. William J. Eisen. There are others. They're not in the spotlight, but David C. Pack, look him up on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel. Listen to his very valuable educational videos. He's right on the money, man. I think
you can't go wrong if you're just, if you're doing what it says from the Bible.
He's a disciple of the late, great Herbert W. Armstrong, right?
Yes, he learned under him.
Okay. David C. Pack.
See, but you got to watch that stuff.
Watch what stuff?
When you talk about that.
Man.
Being disciples and all this other
Pollen
stuff.
count is high.
The point is that if you are taking your information from the Bible, it doesn't matter who you're a disciple of.
Well, disciple. I made
yeah, I know.
He was a mentor.
But
he was his mentor.
People are into personality cults, and they're not interested in what may be the truth or coming from the Bible or something. Right away, they gravitate to, oh yeah, the person.
Yeah.
See?
The evangelist.
That's the problem.
Yeah. All right. You have a small article before your lunch?
I have several articles.
All right.
Now, speaking of things that people still believe in after the truths are out there right before their faces, and etc.
Man, this shillelagh's getting a lot of action this week. We're off to a furious, fast and furious start. Hey, how did you like my barbecuing with Mega Life 21 for 2012 Mother's Day? My mother did a little thing with me, which was nice, and it's on the internet, and Rosemary, and too bad the sun was so glaring. I apologize.
That was the
yeah, that was at the beginning, but I have to squat when I talk to the public from now on, because I did not have enough camera people to help me, so I have to squat when I talk. I learned my lesson. Anyway, go ahead.
After nearly 4 years in the Oval Office, President Obama is incorrectly thought to be a Muslim
He's not Muslim.
by 1 in 6 Americans.
You know why? Because his middle name is Hussein.
Well, not why, because of Fox News.
The Republicans.
And these idiots that are out there.
They want to paint...
Didn't you see the email came the other day? Yeah. Obama was born in Kenya.
Again?
Still. This is what my point is. You can tell the truth all day to people. If they're blind to it, deceived, they will never know it.
Like android robots, lemmings.
But they are very quick to take in the lie. Very quick.
Because they want to take in the lie about...
They gravitate to it.
They want to take in the lie. And, you know, these are people that are not in a high income tax bracket. So why are these middle class people supporting Republicans is beyond me.
There used to be in this country.
They you know what it is? They're using... It's about ideology. They're using patriotism and counterfeit Christianity to sway the middle class America to vote Republican, because middle class America, I mean, Republicans don't really care about the little guy, and middle class America is the little guy. They only care about the top, what is it, 20%? People that make 250 grand or higher? 20% of America?
No, I would say...
Really? Seriously?
No, that amount of money that they make, that's a very low percentage.
All right, 1%.
But you could probably get away with saying that they only give a damn about the 10%.
10%,
the upper
okay.
10%.
That's all.
That would be granting them
Yeah, because, you know, people that are not in a high bracket, should
never vote Republican.
It's not,
and yet many of them do.
It's not to their best interest to worry about taxes. Oh yes, actually it is to their best interest if they're middle class, because they're carrying the tax burden.
But they allowed it to be put on them.
But the reason why they have the tax burden is what they are lied to about. It was Ronald Reagan that shifted the tax burden. Shifted the tax burden, shifted and shafted the middle class by switching the tax burden from the rich to the middle class back in the 80s. It was Ronald Reagan. It was the Republicans that did that, not the Democrats. But no, they believe this whole bullshit about, oh, the tax and spend liberals. Like Ronald Reagan used to say, tax and spend liberals, tax and spend liberals. But they don't look at the military budget, which sucks up most of the money, right?
Yeah.
And welfare for the rich, Wall Street bailouts, welfare for the rich, subsidies.
2 wars.
2 wars for profit.
Medicare Part D.
For profit.
2 tax cuts under George W. Bush, which were never on the goddamn credit card. I mean, the deficit.
Right.
They didn't show up.
Really?
Now under Obama has to honestly put them on the credit card, you know, on the deficit, and now they're bitching at Obama. Hey, $1.4 trillion budget deficit. What the hell? Didn't show up under George W. Bush, but that's the one who created it. My point.
Right.
Anyway, my point with this article here is the fact of the matter is that these people who should know better are still believing this crap. There are still people who believe that his birth certificate, you know, is a forgery. So anyway,
ideology.
1 in 6 Americans believe he's a Muslim. And only 1/4 of voters can correctly identify him as a Protestant, according to a new poll. Voters do better identifying Mitt Romney's Mormon faith, according to a poll released by the Public Religion Research Institute in partnership with Religion News Service. a slim majority of voters, 51%, knows the presumed Republican presidential nominee is a Mormon. While Americans across the board get the president's religion wrong, the religious group that most often thinks Obama is Muslim is the white evangelical Protestants.
There you go. Evangelical meaning right-wing fundamentalists.
Yeah.
The holy rollers. The counterfeit Christians that try to rewrite the Bible.
24% of them get it wrong.
Well, you know, Mitt Romney reminds me of a bubble-headed Republican like G.W. Bush and Sarah Palin.
Mitt Romney...
And maybe Michelle Bachmann.
They are, what they do
Bubblehead,
is,
right?
Yeah, they're reactionary. The only reason they get play is because they in other words, it's easy to say, if you're the outsider, oh, I could do better on the economy. Oh, I could get jobs going and everything. But once you're in there, you find out it's a little different.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they.
You know?
It's like the politician that promises a chicken in every pot.
Chicken in every pot, yes.
I had a local politician bring me a hot loaf of Italian bread to try to get my vote locally, because I'm from a town which contains a lot of Italians, and they do the same thing in Latin America. They go to the poor and they bring food, and the poor family goes, "Oh, you are so wonderful. You're so generous. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." And then they go and vote. And meanwhile, the person's corrupt.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's old tricks,
Americans unaffiliated with a religious group make the error least often. Only 7% identify Obama as a Muslim. So there we go. After 4 years in office, we still have idiots believing the man is a Muslim.
I think Obama should roll up his sleeves and fight dirty in this campaign. Not dirty as far as unfair lying.
You don't have to be unfair.
Not lying mudslinging, because there's a lot of truthful mudslinging involving right-wing Republicans. But just tell the American people the real truth that he never told before, and I think this would help Obama's campaign.
Well, it seems to me that there is a portion of the American public who doesn't want to know the truth, because the truth shall make them free of the Republican Party.
I think it was Grover Cleveland that once said, Americans will receive exactly the kind of government that they deserve. You have a short one you want to bang out? Oh, I know, you're very punctual. You are like the clock king from the old Batman series. The guy with the clock on his head, whatever, the clock king.
GMT time.
Huh?
Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah, Greenwich this. My shillelagh. Greenwich. Come on, I'm like Vegas, man. I do what I want, when I want, anywhere I want, any way I want, anytime I want. I learned that from Dusty Rhodes when he joined the New World Order in WCW. I do what I want, when I want, anytime I want. You dig it, man? You dig that?
Guess who influences that?
Who?
The devil.
What?
It's me, I. Yeah, self-serving.
No, yeah, but who imposes? Who makes people live by the clock? Think it's God?
What does that have to do with it? I just said that you just came up with the idea. No, I do this way, but yeah. Well, yeah, who's influencing that?
No, but is it just...
Is that an attitude that takes cognizance of others?
Cognizance?
Yeah.
Yeah, but who... is that to be overly concerned with clocks? Is that just a personal preference? Is that just a lifestyle, personal preference, or is that...
That's not the issue. The issue is that you are saying you are pushing your lifestyle on somebody else.
I'm only joking with you.
No. It's I. Me.
Well, the other way is conformism. Like conformism.
No, it's conformism for you. The other person, you are to be a servant in the world. Therefore, you're supposed to take cognizance of the other persons,
yes,
not the I.
Yeah. Well, just tell me the clock is important to you, and I just say, okay, I got to respect that. That's all. It's time for the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman's gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by vitamin C, high vitamin C, not high green tea. High green tea is later on at night, right?
Unfortunately, I should have had tea today.
Well, you have it later on, right? At night.
I don't have it anymore.
With your nut and seed, you don't drink green tea anymore?
I usually drink it at about 1:30 now.
1:30 p.m. or a.m.?
In the afternoon.
Oh, well, you can always have it later. Anyway,
I don't want to have it later.
Yeah, but do you realize the medicinal and antioxidant
I don't care about that
power of epigallocatechin galates, otherwise
I don't care about that stuff.
Of green tea? You better be concerned about You better be concerned about your health, man.
I drink the green tea to take my vitamins.
You're not a spring chicken anymore. What's May 20th?
Yeah.
Supposed to be some of the planets are supposed to line
That's
up.
Tomorrow. So what? They've done that thousands of times.
Well, this organization is attributing the lost books of Nostradamus and the
Nostradamus was a fraud.
And the new Mayan predictions correlating with.
You know how many predictions Nostradamus got wrong?
The quatrains.
Huh? You know how many he got wrong?
How many?
Bunches.
Yeah, because
bunches.
These people are.
And the ones that supposedly he got right, he was supposed to write them so that he would not be accused of being an occultist. So they were hard to understand. So the people who are interpreting them could possibly have them wrong.
You mean the Inquisition?
Whatever. I'm saying
Catholic
he
Church
did them as Jesus did the parables.
Riddles,
he did them not for you to understand them, but to avoid, because at that time they put occultists in jail or killed them. So he did not want to become one.
So they became the parables or the quatrains that they called Nostradamus's writings, findings. So you don't believe anything catastrophic or big is going to take place tomorrow, May the 20th, right?
How can you believe that if you have the idea that you believe the Bible and its prophecies?
You mean the end times?
They are contradictory. You cannot hold two contradictory thoughts in your mind at the same time.
Right.
And the prophecies of the end of the age of the Bible, certain things have not taken place yet.
You're talking about the timeline, the events that are taking place now in the end times have not indicated that the tribulation is near. That's what you're saying.
That's correct.
All right.
There's a lot of stuff has to be done.
Okay. Well, maybe it's just maybe this is just hype similar to Harold Camping.
No kidding. But the problem is, how do you ascertain what is true and what is not true?
Yeah, you're right about
You
that.
You cannot go around believing this and believing that and believing this and believing that.
Look how many people believe this and believe that, and then somebody like David C. Pack comes along and straightens them out. And they went around believing untruths about the Bible until somebody like for instance, Herbert W. Armstrong, David C. Pack explains what's actually in the Bible, and people are very confused, confounded, deluded,
no kidding.
misled.
Why do you think that program is able to get on the air that you just mentioned, claiming that tomorrow the planets are going to line up and we are going to die?
There are many foremost authorities on just about everything that have websites and have write documentaries. I mean,
this is why you are not supposed to be taken in by credentials.
If you watch a documentary on the History Channel about end time Bible prophecy, much of their information sounds like
this doesn't come from the Bible.
It sounds like it came from the Catholic Church. It sounds like it came from people that believe in a Dante's Inferno. You know, when you see a documentary about Satan or the end times, the people that make the documentaries for the History Channel do not seem to get sources from various areas, from various sources to get all of the interpretations, all of the opinions, and have you decide.
Well, what about
which one you want to go for?
If you're a believer, because you've come to know that these things are truthful, why not just go to the one authority, the Bible?
Americans are lazy.
They're not lazy.
They want to listen to a person instead of do some work. No.
They want to listen to a person indeed, but their problem is they don't know the answer. They can't get the answer because they are denied it.
Purposely.
They are denied understanding the Bible.
Because it wasn't meant to be. That God's...
It is not their time.
That God's true flock will be large. It is always meant to be that it stays small.
Correct. Because he's not dealing with the vast majority of humans at this time.
He's only concerned, despite what right-wing fundamentalist, evangelical, born-again people think, he's only concerned with a limited amount of people that will rule in Jerusalem after the second coming, the 144,000. And the right-wing fundamentalists believe in the immortal soul getting raptured up in the sky before the tribulation. So according to them, they are the saved believers and they will not suffer the tribulation, according to them.
Correct.
I mean, this is what Ken Create believes, you know, because he's from...
But belief is not getting it from the source.
Yeah, his mentors are basically preoccupied with the fact that most of the real answers come from Paul's writing. Paul's writings.
More in the Bible than Paul's writings.
That's true.
And Paul, my boy, happened to be wrong. Paul believed, he thought at first, he corrected himself, but at first he thought that Jesus was coming back in his time. He did not understand.
Yeah.
That Jesus was speaking about a future time.
Right. And they also believe that good works, the law and grace are not to be combined. They believe in the dispensations and the law.
These are beliefs. They have nothing to do with anything.
They're saying the law does not apply to now works. I mean, the law does not apply to now. And I told them, are you trying to say if somebody repents and is a believer, that based on grace, based on the death of Christ, they can walk around behaving like selfish assholes and treat people badly, and they are still saved? And he says yes.
Exactly.
They are saved
Revelation 12:9.
Because sin is sin.
The whole world is deceived.
They say sin. There are no tiny sins and big sins. Sin is sin.
Frankly, once sin is forgiven, you can sin again.
And you will. And it will happen. Because nobody can keep the law 100%. Mankind is incapable of keeping the law 100%. So you will sin again. But you can't be a complete jerk and an asshole and be arrogant and expect to say, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm saved. I'm not gonna suffer the tribulation or be judged badly because I'm already saved." I said, Ken, I disagree. I disagree. I'm sorry.
It's not a matter of disagreeing. It's a matter of what the Bible says.
I mean, I know for a fact that there are people in his so-called born-again, saved evangelical Bible study groups. There are some people who are complete jerks and, do not help their fellow man in need and believe that they don't want, they believe that that associating with certain people that they consider to be unsaved will not be good for them, so therefore they don't do what Jesus did, have dinner with the prostitutes and hang out.
Visit the prisoners in prison?
Yeah, no. They look down on people like that, so they themselves won't associate and try to help people that are unsaved. So, like Ken told them, says, what good will you do by just hanging out with nice, peachy keen, saved people and not try to help people who really need help? I mean, of what use can you be as a Christian by just staying in a box, with so-called nice, saved people?
Yeah, but
which is true, they should be
buying into the idea that we are here to save others. We're not.
Oh yeah, they're very preoccupied with going out there and handing out tracts and bugging people.
I just said,
yeah,
God is not interested in the vast majority of humankind at this time. He's not saving everybody.
Yeah. Do you consider that vanity?
So why are you interested in going out there and trying to save people?
Right.
Obviously, you're fulfilling something inside yourself, not them.
Trying to win brownie points, or trying to you consider it a form of vanity?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, let me start promo. See this gentleman right next to me here? This is a self-portrait of my mentor and co-host, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. It is a fine watercolor painting because the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is a fine watercolor artist. You can see the William J. Eisenman collection by going to Google and typing in those words, and you can see his collection. Not the entire collection, because he's always painting new projects, but you can see 99.9% of it at least in a slideshow. Okay. To Caribbean steel drum music. Now, or you can go simply to our Newsletter Censored Facebook page, which is facebook.com/newsletter censored, all one word, and you can see the William J. Eisenman collection in an album, and you can look at them that way. If you see something you like, send Dr. Bill an email and ask him if the painting is still available. If it is, you can buy it, or you can gift it. The bidding starts at $500 each.
Yeah, it ain't going to cost you $120 million like the Scream.
Oh, jeez.
Like Edvard Munch's The Scream.
Yeah, the so-called masterpieces out there, right? No, and they're very nice. I mean, he also paints now. Now he's been painting in gouache or gouache. Gouache. It is a type of material. It's not watercolor. It's called gouache. He's been painting. So far, you're working on your third or fourth gouache?
Toid.
Third?
Toid, yeah.
Right now you're working on your third gouache, painting, and so far the Gosh projects.
That's a good idea. The Gosh project.
Instead
like
of
the God project.
Instead of the God project, the Gosh projects have been successful with you. Ah, they have. Oh, is this new painting done or not yet?
Done. I don't get a chance to paint it.
Okay, so I won't show it.
Oh my God.
I showed the other one already that hasn't been scanned and put on the internet. The grotto?
I think it's over there.
Or the cove? Yeah, I already showed that one. Anyway, let me talk about the very foundation of this entire organization, Newsletters Censored. Founded in 1977 by William J. Eisenman, PhD. It contains the 5 taboos of American life: politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. It is the kind of information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? And it contains more information than our talk shows or our websites. You need Newsletters Censored. We are living in the end times, and you need Newsletters Censored to learn how to defeat a conservative. Okay, and you need Newsletters Censored to survive the end times. And it contains, this is the new article, the new issue, volume number 119, No Rules, No Orders, and No Regulations, by William J. Eisenman, PhD. Okay, sometimes there's tidbits, which is current news topics if there's room. And then we have the God Project with William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity, where Dr. Bill teaches you what the Bible really has to say, not what right-wing fundamentalist conservatives that are trying to rewrite the Bible tell you what the Bible says, but what the Bible really has to say. And as a bonus, you get Sexuality, A Holistic Approach by William J. Eisenman, PhD. If you simply go to newslettercensored.com, click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, you will get your free annual subscription to the very foundation of this organization. The very best way to join our organization is to get your free annual subscription to Newsletters Censored with your gift to support this work. And if you go to newslettercensored.com, you will see Dr. Bill for President. Yes, he's running for the 3rd time as an independent progressive, and he will teach you how to write in a candidate, and also he will teach you the way to get corruption out of politics is to get the money out of politics. And don't forget to also check out on the Cyber Church of God from the newsletter, from the Mega Life 21 Hard Hitting Truth Internet Talk radio station, which is at the top of newslettercensored.com. Check out, also you can Google it to make life easy. Censored on Demand Archive Classics and the God Project on Demand. So you never miss anything connected with Newsletters Censored and Mega Life 21. It's all there, on demand, on the internet. Just click on it. You have to go to the bathroom and get a snack, or
pause it.
If you're interrupted by something, you can pause it and come back to it, or you can just simply listen to it over and over again, and you never miss anything. Now, I will make myself useful here by clearing the Reverend Dr. Bill's
what do you mean, the debris?
Yeah, the debris from his lunch, and I will talk about a sponsor and a very good friend of mine who happens to be the finest producers of authentic, high-quality wooden Indian clubs and Persian clubs in the United States. Persian meals and Indian clubs. You saw my large Persian meal last week. This time you are seeing the examples of the British style Indian clubs made by revolutionclubs.net by Mr. Christian Darce, master craftsman, wood turner, in the Houston, Texas area. Mr. Christian Darce and his wife Natasha. revolutionclubs.net, the only producer in the United States of fine, high quality Indian clubs and Persian meals, and these are the British style Indian clubs, the small ones, outstanding for muscular endurance and aerobics, and strength too, a good balance if you do high repetitions, and you simply swing them in different configurations. And you can see some wonderful instructional video by Izzy Barish and by Julio Anta, and I'll just go on the internet and type in Persian club videos. And also Richard Army McGuire, who's recovering from detached retina surgery. I wish him well. Okay, he is another great authority on club swinging, and that's the British style clubs. These are made of high quality white oak, okay, all right, as opposed to the Persian meals. Now, you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, now the second thing I want to show you is another ancient exercise tool originating in ancient Persia from
looks like a shelf.
Yeah, it does. Used by Persian warriors with the Persian martial arts known as Palavani. This is called a shena. It is a shena board, and it is made of beautiful high quality wood, also by revolutionclubs.net, okay, by Christian Darce, and it is used for doing various types of push-ups, okay, body weight exercises. And you can see it's a beautiful piece of furniture also. And what you do is you put this on the floor like this, and you put your hands in positions either close, medium grip, or wide, and you do different types of push-ups, okay, like I do Hindu push-ups, I do the Persian style push-ups, and I do regular push-ups. And it is one of the finest time-proven exercises known. Even though it's ancient, it gives you a tremendous upper body pump and workout. All right, don't be deceived by its simplicity. Time-proven ancient exercise tool, the shena block or shena board, spelled S-H-E-N-A, made by revolutionclubs.net. all right, get yours. And it also, I use this with the club swinging, with the Persian meals, and it's absolutely wonderful. You do not have to spend large amounts of money to join a gym doing weight training exercises that will eventually injure you, okay, and drain your bank account. So that's it, revolutionclubs.net. Mr. Christian Darce. So I will move this, and we will get back to the newspaper article. Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Oh yeah. revolutionclubs.net. And I also want to salute my Chiselers Hall of Shame of the brand new, very exciting Facebook group titled Regional Food and Drink. Founded and controlled by the president of Regional Food and Drink, Mr. Red Rooster, who happens to be our official beer consultant for Honest Craft Beer Reviews, okay, which is founded and controlled by John Starodomsky. Anyway, Regional Food and Drink is also very honest and hard-hitting. And my restaurant critic show, which is on the internet, the Chiselers Hall of Shame, I take no prisoners, I pull no punches. I tell it like it is, and I name names. So, the Chiselers Hall of Shame. Look it up.
Who was that guy on the video the other day doing that ale?
Oh, the
testing that ale.
Oh, somebody was doing a review on a particular ale?
Yeah.
The Whisper?
Local, a regional, yeah.
The Beer Whisper?
Beer Whisper, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of his...
I forget the name of it. It was in a green can. And he was half lit at the time. He was half lit while he was doing the test.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you'll see many expert reviews on fine crafted beers. Microbrew beers.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Mr. Puckett.
Ale, I get it.
Mr. Puckett also gives fantastic reviews. There's a whole host of them that do. Red Rooster, John Starodumsky. Yeah, India Pale Ale. There's actually a history behind it. It was kind of like the extra fermentation process was kind of like stumbled upon by accident, because they were on ships. They were transported on ships, by British sailors. This is a great history behind India Pale Ale. And I think the first beer was discovered by like a loaf of whole grain bread just was sitting in water.
I thought
it just fermented.
Is that like mead?
Mead. Well, mead is from honey.
Honey? I would think that was like a forerunner of beer.
Well, actually, tea was discovered by accident too in China. Some leaves fell into boiling water. Somebody liked the way it tasted, and it turned out that it happened to be one of the most medicinal beverages known to mankind. Is unprocessed tea, white tea, green tea. Yeah, it was found by accident. I even heard chiropractic was found by accident. Somebody fell and that had problems with their body, and somebody fell and their bones, their vertebrae adjusted itself, and I don't know, a lot of things were found by accident. So that means fate, or the Lord probably arranged it that way. Like herbal medicine, the shamans, the Native Americans from the jungles of the world, right, discovering medicinal plants. I don't know how they did it. I don't know if a higher power told them what plant to use for what problem, or was it by accident? But it's amazing.
Well, a higher power wouldn't be involved.
Yeah, I mean, trial and error. I have no idea how the ancients found out what herbs and plants were good for certain afflictions. Amazing.
A prominent retired psychiatrist is apologizing to the gay community for a decade-old study that concluded some gay people can go straight through what's called reparative therapy. Dr. Robert L. Spitzer,
if they want to go straight,
formerly of Columbia University, now says he no longer believes his work showed that. For the study, Spitzer had interviewed 200 people who claimed some degree of change. The fatal flaw is that there is no way to judge the credibility of their accounts. Spitzer says in a letter he submitted last month to a journal that published his work in 2003. The work made headlines when he presented it at a 2001 meeting of the American Psychiatric Association. One reason for the attention was that Spitzer had played a leading role 30 years before in removing homosexuality from the list of mental disorders in the association's diagnostic manual. Spitzer's study was attacked by critics who questioned the reliability of the accounts from the people he interviewed. At the time, Spitzer acknowledged that he had no proof their stories were accurate, but said several aspects of their account suggested their statements could not be dismissed out of hand. Now he says his reasoning was wrong, and that there was no way to determine if the subject's accounts of change were valid. He wrote in a letter to the editor of the Archives of Sexual Behavior. Spitzer, who lives in Princeton, New Jersey, sent a copy to the Associated Press after a reporter interviewed him about his change of heart. I believe I owe the gay community an apology for my study, making unproven claims of the efficacy of reparative therapy, Spitzer wrote. I also apologize to any gay person who wasted time and energy undergoing some form of reparative therapy because they believed that I had proven that reparative therapy works with some highly motivated individuals. And guess whose husband deals in this kind of therapy? Or he actually probably uses God. Michelle Bachmann's husband.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that something?
Yeah, he can change gays, okay?
Isn't that touching? Well, isn't that typical of right-wing fundamentalists? That they want to change them without asking them if their homosexuality is a problem?
Yeah.
A person has to acknowledge that they have a problem before they can change or alter their tendencies. You know, are they going to get any subjects that feel that their homosexuality is a problem? Maybe, maybe not.
Well,
I would say no.
If you drill enough guilt into them, God.
You mean like the Osmond family and Marie Osmond probably did to her son?
Yeah, they might seek therapy or suicide.
That committed suicide?
Mm-hmm.
That she's hiding, and I bet that's what happened. They drilled a lot of guilt into that poor boy. And did you know, I heard this on Gary No, did you know that they now consider the health
Yes, as a disease.
As a disease, as a disorder. Yes. Even things that are very positive for you to be preoccupied with is now a disorder.
Yes. Well, what's the one? Oppositional something disorder? Against authorities.
If you disagree with
an authority.
So in other words,
you have a mental problem.
So in other words, if you take a college course and you believe your professor is wrong, and you come in with evidence to prove it, you are classified as having a disorder.
Yeah, you are oppositional authority disorder.
So everything that's positive is now a disorder.
Yeah, Martin Luther suffered from it. See?
Martin Luther.
He had this fantasy that the Catholic Church was wrong.
What about George
Washington?
What about Paul Revere and George Washington and all the Revolutionary War? And
they went against the King George. Come on, man.
They have oppositional disorder.
Oh yeah.
So if you want something positive, and I suppose the blacks that wanted freedom from slavery.
Oh, that too, yes.
They had oppositional disorder too, right?
Yeah, and we do who want to change Wall Street too.
The Occupy movement.
Yeah.
All those
yes.
tens of or hundreds of thousands of people
Remember what Stalin used to do in the Soviet Union? If you disagreed with him, if you were a dissident, you threw you in a nut house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Occupy movement has oppositional disorder.
Yeah.
I suppose that Malcolm X and Martin Luther King had oppositional disorder, according to them.
Yes.
So
they were not little nice conformists.
Yes, boys.
Yeah.
Ass kissers.
Stepford wives.
Do you see how people with the lust for power and money and greed, and you see how they like to control everything to keep it that way?
Yeah, and maintain their positions, yes.
It's the ultimate in selfishness. Kind of like when Satan rebelled in heaven, right? Lucifer.
Yeah.
Archangel Lucifer rebelled.
Yeah.
Vanity, selfishness. It's all
Lust,
tied in.
competition.
Huh? Yeah, competition. Well, but if you talk to a Republican, they'll tell you, oh, competition is good.
Yeah, well, how come they don't believe in it?
Selfishness is a virtue. Oh, yeah, they don't believe in competition anymore. That's right, they want to
You think Monsanto wants some other company to compete with it?
No.
Or Walmart?
No, they want to monopolize.
That's correct.
Everything. Well, if they didn't want to monopolize everything, then why is Monsanto trying to control the agriculture in other countries worldwide and force these sterile, genetically modified seeds on farmers in other countries, and also to try to exterminate natural heirloom seeds?
Then you have to buy the seeds from Monsanto.
That God created. Heirloom seeds. All right, go ahead. Continue.
Using only her thoughts, a Massachusetts woman paralyzed for 15 years directed a robotic arm to pick up a bottle of coffee and bring it to her lips. Researchers report, in the latest advance in harnessing brain waves to help disabled people. In the past year, similar stories have included a quadriplegic man in Pennsylvania who made a robotic arm give a high five and stroke his girlfriend's hand, and a partially paralyzed man who remotely controlled a small robot that scooted around in a Swiss lab. It's startling stuff. But will the experimental brain control technology ever help paralyzed people in everyday life? Experts in the technology and in rehabilitation medicine say they are optimistic that it will.
Right.
Once technology improves and the cost comes down. The latest report, which was published online Wednesday in the journal Nature, comes from scientists at Brown University, the Providence, Virginia Medical Center in Rhode Island, Harvard Medical School, and elsewhere. It describes how two people who lost use of their arms and legs because of strokes were able to control freestanding robotic arms with the help of a tiny sensor implanted in their brains. The sensor, about the size of a baby aspirin, eavesdropped on the electrical activity of a few dozen brain cells as the study participants imagined moving their arms. The chip sent signals to a computer, which translated them into commands to the robotic arms. The computer was taught how to interpret the brain patterns through practice as the paralyzed participants watched the robot's arms move and then imagined that they were moving their own arms the same way. In one test, the system of the two participants tried to direct the robot arm to reach out and squeeze foam balls in front of them. The man succeeded in less than half his attempts, but the woman was able to do it about 60% of the time. The woman, Kathy Hutchinson, of East Taunton, Massachusetts, was also asked to use the arm to drink coffee. That meant picking up the bottle, bringing it to her lips so she could sip from a straw, and putting the bottle back on the table. She succeeded in 4 out of 6 tries with the arm, which was specially programmed for this task. The smile on her face was just a wonderful thing to see. Researchers said, in Hutchinson's case, that the results show that implanted chip still worked after 5 years. that her brain was still generating useful signals, even though she hadn't moved her arms in almost 15 years. The ultimate goal, researchers said, is an implanted device that would reactivate a person's own paralyzed limbs. Another goal is to operate high-tech prostheses for amputees.
Prosthesis.
Prostheses.
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 Yeah, not to be confused.
Prostheses.
Not to be confused with feces.
Oh, jeez.
Prostheses. Prosthesis.
Prostheses. Andrew Schwartz, who is doing similar research at the University of Pittsburgh, said the coffee sipping was encouraging because it represents an everyday task a paralyzed person might want to do. I think it's showing this technology has therapeutic potential.
You know what technology I think about? I think about through DNA and stem cell research and everything. I think about just growing a new limb in a laboratory with this person's DNA.
Possible.
They grow organs.
You can clone it, a whole animal.
So which arm is she missing again?
Both. She's not missing them. They just don't work.
Yeah.
She's got her arms. See, I'll show you the pictures. She's got all of her fingers, all her thumbs.
Oh wow.
But her arms don't move for some reason.
Yeah.
They didn't say what she had.
Of course, if you ask a religious nut like a Rick Santorum,
yes, all you have to do is pray.
They would tell you, "Oh no, don't use stem cell research. It's not right. Just pray, and either you'll by miracle you'll have 2 new arms appearing, or maybe you'll you wait for the rapture to come, and then you won't have to worry about your arms."
Well, you see, that's because
they'll tell you something like that.
That's because they all have this idea that God is interested in them. See?
That's true.
The vanity idea.
You mean when they have conversations with God? Now, what you're saying is that all these people that go to these churches and to these Bible study groups that just suddenly put their hand on somebody's head and start praying right in the living room. What you're saying is that, according to the Bible, God is really not listening to that.
Correct.
Now, okay, that I've established that. Now, what about all the parts of the Bible that talk about prayer?
Go into your closet,
like Psalms,
and pray.
Like Psalms. Oh, you mean solitude?
Don't make a big deal of it. That's what the Pharisees and the Sadducees did.
In other words, people that get all in front of an audience.
That's why Jesus called them hypocrites.
They're all dramatic,
That's correct.
Like you don't need an audience. You don't need somebody to help you do this. So the guy who decides to put his hand on somebody's head and pray out loud, could that possibly be a form of vanity right there?
Well, of course it is. He's trying to make something of himself.
He's trying to look. He's trying to look
because
like
the cult of the personality. Who was that? The guy on TV.
Works, huh?
Who was the guy on TV?
Oh, evangelist.
Oral Roberts.
Evangelists do
Put
that.
your hand on the television. Heal!
And they pass out.
Whatever, but what's that all about?
Well, there was somebody from Massachusetts, from Worcester, Massachusetts, by the name of Father Ralph Diorio back in the day, way back in the 80s. I remember on TV, and he used to, people used to faint in his church when he used to touch them. They would faint.
Elmer Gantry and
pass out.
Way back when they had all these tent revivals and stuff. They had a guy in a wheelchair all the time, and they'd come in and they'd heal him, and then he's healed. And
then he started dancing.
And then they go into the next town, and he's still got the guy with the wheelchair, and he gets healed over there. Come on, it's all scam.
Well, I saw this Southern evangelist, this Southern Bible Belt evangelist, and the guy that was crippled, after he fainted and he got up, he actually started dancing in the church.
I knew a man, Bojangles, and he danced for you.
He looked like Sammy Davis Jr. He was tap dancing, and he jumped up in the air like Lucky Charms, the leprechaun. When he jumped up in the air and said "magically delicious," and he clicked He clicked his heels together.
Yeah, yeah.
And before he was in a wheelchair. Bojangles.
Now that's not to say that God doesn't want to heal, but He won't heal.
Yeah.
Unless you, of course, repent and etc.
Mr. Bojangles.
I mean, it's not this automatic thing that just because you have something and you seek healing that you're going to be healed. That doesn't happen. There are preconditions and etc. that one has to conform to. So, one can't just lay hands on and say, in Jesus Christ's name, heal! However, according to historical facts and whatever, there are people who can, without bringing in God or whatever, do hands-on healing. So, anyway, the field is rapidly advancing. And I think this offers hope for people who are paralyzed. The types of movements we'll be able to do are getting more and more sophisticated. But he said others said that technology faces a number of hurdles to widespread use, like reducing its high costs. Making it more reliable, refining the technology. For example, the brain implant now sends signals out with a wire through the skull, and researchers want to develop a completely implanted version that communicates wirelessly. Another step toward wide use will be enticing companies to invest the money to make the commercial products. See that? Now normally we should have our government do the R&D.
Right.
And don't give it to some private industry.
Absolutely.
Let the government sell it or whatever it wants to do with it. Us. Instead of giving the wealth to some private crony.
Yeah, exploiting the people who put forth the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears to make everything happen, and then siphon up the profits to the top.
Yeah. Our government, our money,
exploiting,
develops the internet, and we give it to private ISPs, to police.
People, there is no trickle-down economics. That was a lie. It is siphon up. Siphon up.
Did you hear Gary?
To the 1% economics, not trickle down. It's a Republican lie.
Did you hear Gary and Salente? I believe it was Friday.
I have to
using my term, siphon up.
You know what, Gary, bless his heart. he receives newsletter censored for many years.
Yeah.
Gary No, Dr. Gary No. And there were other terms that he used that you invented, which is good, which is flattering. Thank you.
At least he's reading it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing more hard-hitting than newsletter censored. I just want you to know that. Salute to Dr. Gary No and all his great work. I mean, not just in the field of health, holistic health, but in everything, political, humanitarian work.
But it could be in the next couple of years with prosthesis or freestanding robotic arms on the market a few years after that. Dr. Bruce Gans, Executive Vice President and Chief Medical Officer of the Kessler Institute for Rehabilitation in West Orange, New Jersey, said the technology is too expensive now for widespread use. But if brain control finds uses outside the relatively limited market of paralyzed people, then that might drive improvements in technology and dramatically reduce the cost. Gans suggested other uses might involve industrial applications. At some point, Gans said, it may even turn into something that allows a person with paralysis to go back to work. So it becomes a tool that a vocational rehabilitation program could eventually endorse and support.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Possibly
now,
one more here.
As one last article, do you happen to have anything political concerned with, let's say, the Republican Congress or Romney or Chris Christie, Balloon Boy himself? Is there anything there that catches your eye?
I have nothing on Fatso.
Okay, but anything political?
Would you call censorship political?
Read that one. Read that one. Yes.
Of course, it happens to be a long one.
Oh, it is? Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Ah, it doesn't look that huge.
What is it about 50 Shades of Grey? E.L. James' steamy novel with the drab title crept onto the scene as a self-published ebook, but soon burned its way through homes across the country and became a literary sensation, complete with a top publisher and top spot on the New York Times bestseller list. A sort of Fear of Flying meets Harlequin romance bondage edition. The 50 trilogy, Grey, was followed by 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed chronicles the relationship between a recent college graduate and a rich young entrepreneur whose predilection for whips and ropes takes the heroine to places she never thought she'd go. Apparently this setup appeals to a wide audience and has put the man back in romance.
Oh, God.
For long married women.
Don't tell me this article is about romantic novels.
Wanting to spice up the marital bed.
You're gonna make me sick. All right, continue.
Given its subject, we would not be surprised to hear of conservative groups pushing bookstores to stop selling it, or residents lobbying their town libraries to get it off the shelves.
Because conservatives want to put everybody in a chastity belt, right?
Yes. After all, book banning has a long tradition in this country. But libraries jumping ahead and banning the books before even being asked, that's a sad new twist.
Now the article is getting good.
Yet there they go.
Woo!
Some libraries in Florida, Georgia, and Wisconsin have snatched the book off their shelves or opted not to buy it in the first place.
Well, yeah, you just talked about Southern Bible Belt states and one that has Governor Walker, the fascist conservative up there in Wisconsin.
Did you see
Wisconsin?
Him and that one of his benefactors, the female benefactor with the deep pockets, and he was divide and conquer.
There was an article.
Divide and conquer.
There was an article about recently
That's
about.
That's how we get what we want.
Now, is that what that article was about when it talked about?
There's a video on it.
Illegal donations.
There's a video on it.
Contributions that he received. Oh, yeah, there's a video on it.
Did you see that stupid video the other day with Booker and Christie?
No.
What the hell are you looking at on Facebook?
Did I post it on the Newsletter Censored Facebook page? I
don't
know
if you put it there. I think maybe Bennett did or somebody else.
Well, then if Bennett posts, I usually put what Bennett posts on the.
It's actually Booker and Christie.
Newsletter Censored page.
Starring in the video.
Propaganda?
No, it's like Christie wants to do something to make himself a big hero or whatever. Like Booker did.
Yeah, big
running
hero.
into the fire.
Very big hero.
To save the woman. Okay?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, he's a superhero.
So every time Christie does something,
Yeah.
Booker shows up, and he handles it. And this goes on and on. A couple of things, and Booker comes up and I'll do this. I'll handle this. You know. So he gets the accolades, the rewards, or whatever, for being a hero instead of Christie.
Cory
Booker.
Oh, you mean
the mayor of Newark.
The mayor of Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Well, Booker is isn't he a Democrat? Cory Booker. Okay. Very smart man. He reminds me a lot of Barack Obama.
Isn't Mr. Sweeney a Democrat who's now kissing up to Christie?
So that makes Sweeney a Blue Dog Democrat. That makes him a conservative Democrat, right?
Makes him an ass kisser.
What is it with these traitorous conservative Democrats? Why don't they just come clean and jump party lines and I don't know. Maybe this is a sneaky way for Republicans to get conservatives in office, is to have some of them run as Democrats and be like...
Probably in Democrat areas. That's what they did in Wisconsin.
They put a phony baloney
Democrats to get the Democratic vote.
They're very underhanded. They're very sneaky. There is no stopping the greed of the right wing. They're that obsessed with the bottom line.
Power.
You see, it's like, you know what? Sometimes the only way to deal with tumors is
cut them out.
They have to be cut out. When everything else fails, they have to be manually removed.
All 15 branches of a Georgia County library won't buy the book because the system doesn't stock erotica, a library official said.
Oh yeah, like the kids don't watch porn on the internet. Give me a break.
They do stock an ebook of Erica Jong's Fear of Flying, a hard copy of Henry Miller's Tropic of Cancer, and an audiobook of D.H. Lawrence's Lady Chatterley's Lover, all of which would be termed erotic. And all of which were banned or faced a ban, not to mention an obscenity trial or two. In Wisconsin, the Fond du Lac Public Library appears to be the sole snubber of 50 Shades. I'm not against 50 Shades of Grey, said the library's director, Ken Hall. I personally bet people are more likely to be harmed by what they don't read than what they do read. But he said the person in charge of buying fiction for the collection read the reviews, which said it was pretty much soft porn. She decided, we don't usually acquire erotica, so we're not going to buy this one. And I didn't overrule her. The larger question for Hall is public demand the sole consideration for a library, or should libraries consider a work's literary and artistic merit as they did in the past? He makes a good point. With a limited budget, kinky fiction may not be high on the acquisition list, but public libraries are funded by taxpayers, while librarians can't buy every book published in a year or so, must, by necessity, pick and choose what to add to their collections. They should not act as a censor to the masses that financially support them. The masses want 50 Shades of Grey. If librarians prefer not to buy 20 copies, fine, but they should have an adequate number to meet current and future need. Feeling squeamish about a book's sexual content simply isn't a valid argument. Libraries and librarians have an honorable history of defending literature and patrons. First Amendment rights. They need to continue that tradition, even if it means lending books with little literary value. Not while the right wing is in charge.
Sounds typical right wing to me. You remember that Christine the Witch O'Donnell wanted to ban masturbation and pornography? Well, they all want to ban pornography, but she wanted to actually make it illegal to masturbate, like the Muslim extremists say. You know, the people are not allowed to whack off. You know, and it's yeah. Try to enforce these things. Good luck. Meanwhile, she was a big time slut when she was in college. Christine.
Well, that's different. You know, the right wing has a habit of don't do what I do, do as I say.
Yeah. Well, wasn't Rush Limbaugh caught?
Rush Limbaugh is a pillhead.
No, when he was in the Dominican Republic, he was.
That's what they say.
He was having young boys visit his hotel room.
That's what they say.
You know, and then he's like one of the heroes of the right wing.
But he's also a hypocrite in many ways. One way is that he, before he was caught in his drug thingy,
prescription painkillers.
Yeah,
addiction.
He was, all those druggies should be sent up and never seen again. But when it came to him, he got the best lawyers he could and got his big fat ass off. Didn't he?
Isn't it that way with right-wing Republicans anyway, that they're hypocrites?
Yes.
What's good? Do as I say, not as I do.
Right. Or, just because I did some bad things when I was young, well, I'm a born-again Christian now.
Yeah. Well, the Catholic Church does that too, right? Preaching morality. But meanwhile, they don't look at all the things that they have committed.
And neither does anybody else, obviously.
Neither does any right-wing fundamentalist organization. You know, it's total hypocrisy. It's like kind of like what the Pharisees were accused of, right? Back in Bible days. Hypocrisy.
Yeah, because they did one thing and then, said one thing and did another.
So history.
And they made a big show of it.
So history.
See how righteous I am.
So human nature, and the frailties and sin of human nature repeats itself for thousands of years. Nothing has changed. Today we have a corporate plutocracy. We have back then we had the imperialism. And military dictatorships and nationalism, which is not patriotism. There was a poster showing a scene, an outdoor rally that Adolf Hitler was appearing at, and it says that nationalism is not patriotism.
Hitler's party was called National Socialism. Had nothing to do with socialism.
No.
It was fascist.
It's fascism, right? Same thing with Mussolini, right? But
that's what the Republicans do. They learned this from Goebbels. That's why when Bush was in office, we got bills like the Clean Sky Amendment.
Clean Sky.
Which allowed polluters to pollute more.
Clean Sky. Isn't that
Clear Sky, excuse me.
Clear Sky. Isn't that like the reason, like when Denmark called Iceland and Greenland, when in actuality Iceland is supposed to be Greenland and Greenland was supposed to be Iceland because they didn't want anybody else to go there.
Yeah.
It's like it's opposite of what it's like calling Chris Christie emaciated or skinny. But it's all snake oil salesmanship. It's all sleight of hand. It's all trickery, lies, like Satan, but he does. Okay, look, thank you for joining us for Progressive Discussions, and we'll see you next time. So say so long to these people.
So long, people.
Excuse me. So
what does Obama say?
I don't know. What does Obama say?
God bless you and God bless
that.
Yeah, at the end of any of his speeches.
Oh, okay. Well, I think he really sincerely means it, as opposed to what the Republicans say.
Yeah, well, but God ain't blessing America. He's cursed it.
See, people don't realize that the modern day descendants,
blessings are gone.
The cursed modern day descendants of ancient Israel, Great Britain and the United States is part of that, and people keep on believing that America is like God's country and it's God bless America because they listen to the patriotic bullshit of the right wing. No, we are under a curse. That's why bad things are happening right now.
Blessings have been withdrawn.
Right. About what time do you think that it went from the blessings to the curse? What time in history?
Don't know. When things started going bad.
Yeah. Exactly.
After World War II.
After World War II. Yeah, people.
I would say 1980 when Reagan got in.
It is.
How about that?
There you go. You're right about that. You mean when the tax rate was completely taken off the burden of the rich?
That's correct.
Everything went downhill, and things are not destined to be prosperous and hunky-dory because of the curse of the modern-day descendants of ancient Israel. Which
God shall break the pride of your power.
Break it. Okay. So long.